Hello, good morning, everyone. We're just letting everybody joining us. All right. Okay, so good morning or good afternoon, and thank you for joining the third HuMUS webinar from the HuMUS Project. This time we're focusing on healthy soil stories from the ground, or better said, on some of the latest results of the HuMUS Project. And whether you're a soil expert or you're new to the topic of soil health, we hope to bring you an interesting program today and to showcase some results and news from the project. My name is Anna Frosini. I'm a Communication and Policy Coordinator at Agroecology Europe, and I'm responsible for communication and dissemination activities of the HuMUS Project. And it's a pleasure to see many of you here. Some of you are still entering the webinar right now, so just let them in. And it's really nice to see a high interest in the topic, as it's also HuMUS final year. So first of all, please feel free to introduce yourself if you want, where you work or where you study, by writing in the chat. If you want to let us know where you study, where you work, and which country you study or work in. And I would like to say that the purpose of our session is to share some of the very good results from the HuMUS project and its methodologies after 3 years, but also to discuss with the people who are interested in the topic like all of you here today. And I would now say a few words on housekeeping, and then we will dive right in the presentations from our speakers. So this is an interactive event, so your engagement is very much welcomed. There will be time for questions and for discussion with the speakers after their presentations. And for the Q&A part, you can either raise your hand or write your questions in the chat. And if you feel like you want to address a specific question to a specific speaker, just please specify that in your question in the chat, and you will try to answer your questions. For the time of the presentations, I would ask to please mute yourselves. And the webinar is also being recorded, as you can see, and it will then be later posted online. So with that, I give the floor to our first speaker, Paola Migliorini, who's Associate Professor of Agronomy and Crop Production of the University of Gastronomic Sciences of Pollenzo, to present some of the most innovative results from the project. So Paola, over to you.
Okay, so good morning, everybody, and nice to see you all. Yeah, and thanks, Anna, for the introduction. I shared my screen. Can you all see it? I hope so. Okay, good. So I'm going to give a quick presentation about how inside the HuMUS project we arrived to the Territorial Management Agreement. First of all, for us, inside the project is inside the work package 2. And since the beginning of the project, that was in January 2003, we identified the 14 internal pilot cases. And for these 14, the objective was to create territorial space and good practices for regional and local dialogues for soil health. So the whole project of HuMUS is focused on improving literacy on soil. Those are the 14 pilots that are present in the different region of Europe. We have 2 in Spain, 1 in the Netherlands, 4 in Italy, Slovenia, 2 in Germany, and Bulgaria and some others. And since the beginning of the project, we started so one of the main output of the project was to develop a TMA, a Territorial Management Agreement, between the end of 2024, beginning of 2025. What is a territorial management agreement was part of our knowledge development, of our competence development, because at the beginning was not even clear for us. So we started to, of course, develop a specific methodology, and we identified the TMA as agreements among different stakeholders, public and private and citizens, so a multi-stakeholder approach. Where inside there are definitions of roles, responsibilities, specific action, and also monitoring mechanism and tool focus on soil health. So the TMA should serve as a political roadmap to integrate the soil management into local policy with a methodology that is participatory. And so the essence of the agreement is to establish a common path with reciprocal support and action among different stakeholders. For the methodology that involved the whole project, so in particular Work Package 1 and Work Package 2, the different the different partners responsible for the different tasks. Anyhow, we have identified those steps. So the methodology included a pre-diagnosis phase. That was a very important moment that we carry out in 2023, where the different regional area were during a first workshop organized, the topic, the goal was to identify the main problems that focusing on soil health that region identified. And this, again, acquired for us a whole year. No, it was a very deep and precise methodology approach that after the identification of the pre-diagnosis phase, we carry out the second workshop involving similar or same stakeholder in order to discuss the action plan. So what are the actions that we need to develop in order to solve some of those problems, or anyhow having this dream to improve the soil health. At the end of the second workshop, each of the 14 pilots develop a TMA. In order to homogenize the process, we created a template with some specific paragraph that I'm going to show you, as well as some monitoring tools guidelines. So we provide to the other partners some example on how to track soil health improvements. And then the most difficult part is the collection of signature by the different stakeholders. So the methodology, the pre-diagnosis methodology was developed by University of Granada. That is one of the partner and responsible of this task, and so we applied this quadruple helix approach with stakeholder identification, pre-diagnosis, and then until the writing of the Territorial Management Agreement in a cycles loop that should every year be applied and improved. So we started with the first workshop, as I said, and then we continue with the second and third workshop in order to discuss potential solution, how to restore soil health, so to generate ideas, to think outside the box, also using the soil steward support that later on also Annalaura will present. So this is a very quick, so how the TMA template was for us identified. So what it is, what are the summary of the pre-diagnosis, so how the territory looks like from the social, political, economic, and also biophysical data. Then what are the objectives? So what are the main concrete problem that the TMA want to address, as well as the concrete action, what are the monitoring indicator and the suggested methodology, how to do it. So to put it in a nutshell, the TMA should include those elements. So for example, a list of objectives can be, I don't know, 5, 10, of course, not 2000, but anyhow, very concrete number of objectives. For example, the reduction of mountain erosion and improvement of soil structure. This is just an example. What is the identified action? for example, for us was the implementation of specific agroecological practices target to reduce soil erosion in the mountain, as well specific indicators to monitor, and who is the one responsible to do it. So at the end of 2024, we received the 14 pilot cases. We revised it all together. So the project team gave some feedback how to improve it. But anyhow, we after this, so each of these 14 included a list of objectives, a list of action plans, and also monitor indicators. Of course, they were specific and very diverse among them because the regions are very different. Some of the territory are agriculture, some of the territory are plain or mountain, some other are urban agriculture. So the cases are different, and each of them have different specific objective and action plan. No. So what are the results? In 2025, since January, we started to collect signatures among many stakeholders, so mayors of town and city, president of regions, city councilor, farmers, civil society, academics, so rector or single professors, again, all kinds of citizen advisors, companies, educational institution, NGO, so whoever are anyhow living and have an impact on the soil of that specific region. And what are the key challenges, of course, of this process? What we have learned as a lesson learned among this 2.5 years of project, in each TMA and in each stakeholders groups in different regions, there were some tensions and some different point of view between the economic issue and the environmental interest of the area. Of course, this is a kind of, how can I say, normal, but of course, different stakeholders have, again, different point of view. Just to give you an example about to reduce soil sealing, you know? So what are the inner interest in order not to create a new concrete agricultural, so to convert agricultural soil into for example, urban area. Now, this is a very practical example that many municipalities face every year. Another challenges for us was the involvement of policymakers at all levels, because of course they are a kind of reluctant or not so used to be involved in a participatory approach, and so it's always in different regions, but not so easy, as well as to identify specific competence on soil protection initiative, because as we all know, the first critical issue is that agriculture, environment, and sometimes in industrial development are separate policy officer, and so this create already a fraction and not a homogeneous and fluid amount of discussion. Another key challenge is to identify the clear role. So once we have identified the actions and also the monitoring tool, who is the one in charge of carry out the activity, and also with which resource and when. And finally, as I said, also the collection of signature, because it's the responsibility, is the action of take responsibility among the CMA, and so implies some effort. Final slides. Despite those challenges, we were actually succeed to have the TMA from different regions, and actually in each TMA there were a large number of stakeholder engagement: farmer, researcher, policymaker, public authority, citizen. Each of them have some action for education and training, and this is very important because, again, education and training was considered crucial in each region in order to improve soil literacy, as well as policy integration. So again, in each region, in each of the 14 pilots, we were succeeding in having at least one or two or three policymakers that sign. And in general, of course, the identification, in particular in agricultural and mountain area, but also as well in urban area, the identification of agroecological practices and sustainable land management was identified as a key activity. So the conclusion is that, again, through this participatory approach, bottom-up, we were actually, we are happy about the possibility to replicate this activity among Europe. Thank you. I hope I was clear and on time.
Yes. Thank you, Paola. Thank you very much. You're very much on time, so thank you also for that. I think it's very interesting to see what you just presented and also the potential of replicability, like you said. And so now we will move to the second presentation of our second speaker. And I just remind all of you that you will have time for questions in the end. Also, welcome to those of you who just joined us or joined us later on. Please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat if you like. And also just a reminder to mute yourselves if you're not a speaker at the moment. And now I would like to introduce our second speaker, Annalaura Vannuccini. She's project officer at the European Office of ANCI Toscana, the Association of Tuscan Municipalities, and project coordinator of the Horizon Europe project HuMUS, which is led by ANCI. So now over to you, Annalaura.
Thank you, Anna. And good morning, everyone. It's really nice to see this high participation and interest to our initiatives. So thank you very much. So I will briefly present the global overview of the 34 HuMUS pilot site, because Paola already mentioned the 14 internal pilots, but in our project we funded also 20 external sub-projects, let's say, that are developing the same kind of activity and are supposed to deliver the same type of results. So concerning the activities, the participatory processes on soil health at local and regional level, and regarding the results, the Territorial Management Agreement on soil health, already mentioned by Paola. So this is the global overview, and you can see the different colors. So the brown are the pilots that come from inside the project, and light brown, let's say, are the outside and external pilot case. In total, the 34 pilot sites come from 16 different countries inside and outside Europe, and are using the HuMUS tools already mentioned by Paola, so Territorial Management Agreement guidelines and HuMUS project methodology. But here in my session, I want to present you also the other tools that we share and deliver with not only with the internal and external pilot, but are available on our website. To facilitate the dialogue between local stakeholders, the Louise Bolk Institute create this nice tool, the Regional Impact Dashboard, to evaluate the status of 12 key territorial challenges. Generally speaking, in HuMUS, we use a sort of holistic approach. And of course, we cover all soil type. Another important tools we share with our pilots, and is also in that case, it's available on our website, is the Soil Steward Training Program. Basically is a real training program addressed to people from public administration, but is open to everyone that want to improve knowledge on soil-related topics. It is now available on 6 languages, and we will deliver also another edition, a second edition of this training program, with the inclusion of the experiences coming from the internal and external pilot side. So stay tuned, because we will deliver soon another important edition of this tool. I just want to mention that we also organize and realize citizen science experiments. And this kind of activities or tests can really help to improve soil knowledge and engage the stakeholders in a different way. Now I will present you some results coming from the participatory processes in Tuscany. I'm based here, so I directly participated on and organized the pilot cases that we have here in Tuscany inside the project. One is the pilot case of Calenzano. The main focus was soil and biodiversity, and the other pilot case that we have in Tuscany is in Fiesole, and the focus in this case was soil and landscape preservation. We decided to scale up also and replicate the results of these two, in particular of the HuMUS methodology and HuMUS project results, in another pilot case that is in Livorno. And we are now realize the same kind of activity, so we are replicating the HuMUS methodology in a different context and scale, because it's a bigger municipality with different problems and soil related issues. So what's happened in Calenzano, for example? The local stakeholders, and in particular the municipality, decided to work in two different contexts, on urban soil and rural soil, because the challenges are different, of course, and also the stakeholders to involve are different. The main challenge, generally speaking, is to protect soil biodiversity, and also to reduce soil consumption, so land take. In Fiesole, the context is different. In both cases, we are really near to Florence, but Fiesole is in a hill, really close to to Florence, the main city in Tuscany, and Calenzano is in a plain, so in two really different areas. So the municipality of Fiesole, together with the local stakeholders, decided to focus on, of course, soil health, but to decline the participatory process in 4 thematic areas. So soil and agriculture, soil and environment, soil and food, and soil and culture. And was really interesting also this kind of approach, in particular to the last, concerning the last point, because it's not so immediate to talk about the relationship with soil and culture and art, if you want. Basically, the timeline in both cases is the same. So it's 1 year of participatory process to deliver the Territorial Management Agreement. The first step was really important for us. We decided to introduce to propose to our pilot and local stakeholders to sign the Mission Soil Manifesto. That is a non-binding document that motivate everyone to act and facilitate the stakeholder engagement, in particular with public entities. Generally speaking, in both cases, we organized 4 public events in each territory and so in each municipality, interview campaign, co-design meetings, basically 4 or 5 co-design workshop with local stakeholders. In some cases, we organize also activities with schools, and also this experience was really interesting. And we delivered also a soil health questionnaire addressed to the citizens of Calenzano, for example. And the impact was really important. We promote and share knowledge on soil health to about 150 citizens. So we are really happy to see that the engagement of the local people are really high. In Calenzano and in Fiesole, we experimented 2 different participatory approach, let's say. So in Calenzano, the University of Florence was directly involved in the whole process with 2 different departments. In Fiesole, the participatory process was conducted by experts in participation, with the inclusion of soil scientists or thematic expert, just in case, let's say. And I just want to show you here some example of actions of the TMA, the Territorial Management Agreement of Fiesole. Paola already mentioned that each TMA, we recommend that each TMA include objective action indicators and actors. And here I just want to mention some action just to share with you an idea. So in Fiesole, the soil literacy was really into the agenda and really high I mean, was really an argument that the local stakeholders want to explore and investigate. So finally, the co-creation process deliver important action on soil education, soil awareness, of course, and to implement also educational programs in school to promote food sustainability and soil awareness. But also, for example, looking to the water management, they also decide to introduce and maintain, infrastructure to better maintain and manage the storm water, and also to establish a small info point to tourists on soil protection. So generally speaking, the soil awareness in that case was really an important topic. In Calenzano, the results are different, so the municipality and the local stakeholders decided to introduce dedicated measures to protect soil and stop soil seeding. This was the first important results. They also want to support the training program and education for farmers, develop research project together with the university or local research centers. Here too, the water management was really an issue, and they decided to create small reservoir to store and reuse rainwater. And they decided also to analyze and map the abandoned, the building that are not used, to hopefully reuse them for in the future. And they decided also to realize a sort of soil inventory based on ecosystem value across urban, agricultural, and forest area. And of course, foster public engagement and awareness on soil health and environment in general. I almost finished my presentation, but I just want to share with you my final reflections. The wide variety of HuMUS pilot sites highlighted the adaptability and value of our methodology to co-create territorial management agreement, and the critical mass of HuMUS pilot, the 34 HuMUS pilot plus the 74 proposals received for the open call that we launched during the project, demonstrate that there is a high interest on public entities and local stakeholders, and that this community are ready to act. Local actors in our 34 pilots have shown a strong commitment, and the participatory processes achieve high levels of engagement, and we are quite happy about the impact of our pilot site. Some public entities are now integrating some results of the Territorial Management Agreement into the local planning tools and funding instruments. So this is really another important result. I don't want to mention any municipality or region that are doing that, but this is another important result that we achieved because it's included some results of the Territorial Management Agreement into the local planning instruments. Is really important and can have a long-term impact in the future. And finally, also if dedicated funding instruments are still limited, of course, we can see that the European framework, the European Soil Strategy to 2030, the Mission Soil, and the upcoming Soil Monitoring Law Directive are paving the way for a broader integration of soil health into local, national, and European policies and programs. And I want to finish my presentation with the good news that come from Italy, where for the first time the national government allocated 160 million to reduce soil thinning and support the restoration of soil in urban and peri-urban areas. And of course, this is just the beginning of something, but, and of course, after the region have to implement have to receive these funds and redistribute this fund to the municipalities and local entities. So it's now, for example, in Tuscany, there is now an open call from the Tuscany region to the local municipalities to found some kind of problem of project for soil sealing and landscape preservation, let's say. And but of course, we need to do more in general, but it's just the beginning of something. So I really thank you for your attention, and I leave the floor back to Anna.
Thank you, Annalaura. Thank you very much. I think it's really great to see how both you and Paola described how different kinds of actors can come together, right, to care for the soil of their territories. And thank you for stressing that soil is not just about what we usually think of, but culture and surprisingly also art sometimes. So yeah, what you just described is also very dear to me because my family is one of the founding stakeholders of the Calenzano Biodistrict. So it's of course a dear topic for me, but also thank you for reminding us that these participatory processes also took place around Europe, not just in Italy, as you also said. So now at last, before going into a more interactive discussion with the questions, I will give the floor back to Paola, who will also explain about another very interesting pilot from Italy. And in the meantime, please use the chat if you want to write your questions. We will dedicate the last part of this webinar today to your questions and to a fruitful discussion. So please feel free. And now over to you, Paola, again.
Thank you very much, Anna. I'm going to quickly present the TMA we developed in the mountain part of the region of Piedmont in the Cuneo province and Turin province, where there are several valleys. So the Western Italian Alps area. This area is characterized by a phenomenon that is very interesting because in the recent years, let's say starting from 10, 15 years, those areas received a new repopulation. And so instead of the strong abandonment that, of course, all the Alps, all the village, all the area that generally in the whole Alps of Italy, but also the other Alps national part are facing, so the strong, very strong abandonment. In this part, in this area, there are signs of revitalization. And so we wanted to link this activity, the HuMUS studies, the HuMUS pilot, with the agroecological approach and practice in order to implement and foster the transition in this mountain valley with the agroecological approach. There was, of course, a background activity before the HuMUS project started, where we were very active. Starting from 2022, Chiara Bassignana was one of PhD student in my research group, and she actually identify, analyze the new Highlander farmers and agroecological transition in Western Alps. So basing on this research, we started to identify Valvaraita as one of the key valley, and inside that we developed within another Horizon project, the I4EU project, we developed a living lab, an agroecological living lab. So for 3 years we work very intensively with those mainly young farmer that decided to go back in the valley. And with this project, the IA4EU, we developed the manifesto for the agroecology of the living lab in Valparaiso. So it was a very vital and active activity for 3 years, where we mainly focus on local economy, local tourism, and food sovereignty and access to land. And so in that project, we already work a lot with a multi-stakeholder approach, a quadruple helix approach. So it was a very intense activity where we create this space for dialogue. So we were already ready for the HuMUS TMA project, because in this area it is very rich of, as I said, new small economy and very active approach of good practices, both on local varieties, extensive livestock, and again, youth, new small economy. So with this background, we started the HuMUS project, and we developed the first workshop that I mentioned before in order to identify the problems of the area, with a very nice workshop. We did it the 23rd of April in Pollenzo, very participated, where we identified what are the main social, economic, agronomic, political issue. And based on that, we publish our report. And with that, and going on after both a back office desk activity, research, and very active workshop, we publish this, let's say, 100 pages of territorial work plan analysis, where it included a SWOT analysis for social, political, environmental, and economic issue. No? So it was already a very good work. And based on that, we developed our TMA that, as I said, include at the moment 10 objectives, several actions, and as well as monitoring tool. I keep it short because I want to leave space for question and answer. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Paola, again, very much also for describing what's going on in northern Italy. And so now we have time to discuss your questions and different curiosities or doubts that you may have around the project and around the presentations that we just heard. So I would really encourage you to use the chat again to write your questions there. I see that something is already coming in. We had a question earlier from Floriana about the training for the Soil Steward program. And as Carmen already said, there is an e-learning platform that you can find online, and there's a lot of resources that you can also find on the HuMUS website. So I don't know if some of the speakers would like to answer that, but I think some of it is already explained in the chat. And we also have a hand raised. So maybe let's go to Eduardo first. Eduardo, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am a member of the advisory board of the HuMUS project. I have some very specific and technical questions. First of all, I cannot see in your website the time frame of the project. I mean, the starting, the end of the project. So I was wondering when it's going to end this project. Secondly, I would like also to have here a sort of Gantt program about the next steps of the project in the near future, because you have presented some nice overview about the general results. So maybe it would be also nice to have some key performance indicators, some specific result displayed, and also to know what are the next steps in the project life. Thank you.
Okay, I will take Paola. It's okay. Thank you, Eduardo. Concerning the first question, our project is in the final steps, let's say. HuMUS will finish in December 2025. We will share the results, the final results, also coming from the 20 external funded projects during our final event that we are organizing at the Committee of the Region in Brussels. But of course, that will be at the end of this year, so we will let you know. Concerning the second question, generally speaking, we are aware that we have an important critical mass to keep alive. So we are thinking on few strategy. First of all, to work with regional government and to scale up the HuMUS results. So we propose as HuMUS coordinator to our internal pilot to share the results to their regional entities and include in one way or another some important TMA results into the local tools and plan for, in particular, policies and program or plans. This is the first suggestion that we shared with our internal pilots, and we will do the same with the external one, not only for with the region, but also if they can, and there are many pilots that are already do that, to include also the soil health inside their own local program, plans, and policies. Generally speaking, we are also looking for another sort of project that can also take care of this community, of the HuMUS community that we are. And but right now, we don't have a really full vision, but we want to continue and, of course, promote and support, in particular, the excellent work done so far, not only by the HuMUS partner, but also from the 20 external funded projects that are doing a really interesting activity with a high impact at local level. So I hope that was complete and clear my answer to you. But
thank you, Annalaura.
The floor back if necessary. Yeah.
Thank you for answering, and thank you, Eduardo, for the question. So we also have a few questions now on the territorial management agreements. I will just read them out to you from the chat. We have a question from Wageningen regarding potential conflicts between soil functions or values, for example, environmental, agronomic, or urban expansion. So the question is, how did the territorial management agreements help mediating or solving such conflicts? Did they mostly result in trade-offs or also novel nature-based solutions?
Yeah, I will take this. Thank you for the question, Lisbeth. This is exactly the challenges that arise in some of the TMA, and I directly mention also in my presentation, because there are cases in particular in the urban pilots where this fraction was present. In some cases, the project, let's say, was not so succeed in finding concrete solution. In some other cases, yes. So it depends a lot on how much the different stakeholders were open, available, supported by policymakers in order to to dealing with those kind of conflict. Annalaura before presented the cases of Calenzano where actually they agree on stop soil sealing, no? So there was a political support that helped in that direction. In other example, they didn't manage to find an agreement, so there was a clear kind of opposition from the policymaker to let's say to achieve this very strong to make a very strong precise number. Okay, stop soil sealing from now on, because for some municipality this create evidently an economic lower let's call it income, even though it's not an income, but we all know how it works, I think. No, anyhow, there is this problem where municipality can transform their urban development into changing destination. So anyhow, for sure, the project, the HuMUS approach and the TMA for sure helped dialogue, and this is crucial. So it's a first step, so it's very important to create space for dialogue, so to create a moment and specific safe space where those fraction can be at least mentioned, express, put on the table in order to be discussed. Then the final result is very local based. Thank you.
Thank you, Paola, and thank you, Lisbeth, for the question. Now we also have a question coming from Livia Lazzarotto from Tuscany region. Is it possible to receive a copy of a couple of signed territorial management agreements? And Livia is saying she's interested in the Calenzano one.
Yes, of course. Hello, Livia. We already shared some results with the Tuscany region. Of course, we will deliver soon also and share the results with the executive board members like you, Edoardo, and Blanca, that is here with us, I think, in the room. Any case, and we will publish also the results in our website soon. Of course, the necessary step is the approval of our deliverable from the European Commission and the authorization to publish the pilot results in our website. So, but soon everything will be shared with you all. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Livia, for the question. We now have a question on the territorial management agreements again. Are we planning to keep it open to those institutions and citizens who want to join the program initiatives? And what do we think about that approach? Somehow similar to the Soil Manifesto.
Yes, the process is open. And as already Annalaura have explained before, in these final months of the project, we are still promoting and sharing, communicating the different TMA in order to receive as much as possible signature, and that means support, and that means practical activity to carry out the different action and to reach the goal. But we are already thinking beyond the end of HuMUS. So what we can do in order to keep the TMA alive after the end of the project, that of course is the most important action, so that everything will not finish when the project end. This is not, of course, the goal. However, of course, we have some challenges in terms of resource, persons, and let's say the things that we obviously we all have, but we wanted that this become part of the soil mission, or anyhow, it's already been identified as one of the activity for the implementation of the soil mission at European level. I don't know if Annalaura, you want to add.
Okay, great. Thank you, Paola. And so we are about to wrap up the webinar today. I will just read one last comment that was done by Alberto from University of Granada in the chat. So he's saying that to complement Paola's great intervention, he wants to add that the HuMUS methodology has been designed to include the participation of different stakeholders with different interests related to those conflicts, for example, and that the methodology is based on the idea of creating an overall consensus on key issues in order to reduce these conflicts that we just talked about. And this was done with the sociogram that helped on this question because it represents the positions and relations between different stakeholders around soil health. And there's also other tools that have been developed, such as assessment forms for communication, gender approach, etc., that also address these challenges. So thank you, Alberto, for also including this in the conversation. And if there's anything you want to add, please feel free. Otherwise, I would say we might have one last question that we can take. If someone wants to raise their hand or just take the floor one last time. I will just give you 1 second. Okay. Otherwise, I thank you all very much, especially Paola and Annalaura that presented our results beautifully today, and to all of you who were there with us. The aim for us at HuMUS is to really collaborate, interact, and communicate in this last year of the project. So we're very glad that there was a lot of interest in this webinar and in the results that we're delivering on. And the goal, again, is to raise awareness about the significance of soil. And I think we saw that very clearly today, on the one hand, but also to offer some practical and actionable solutions that fit the local context, for example, as we also saw. And I will put the recording of this webinar online. As you could see, the webinar was recorded, and you will also receive the presentations from today with the contact information from our speakers. And I also take the opportunity to remind you that HuMUS is online. We have a website with a lot of useful resources, and the project is also on social media. So you can find us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and Instagram. And that there's also a newsletter to which you can register. So we will make sure that you will receive the link also to the newsletter. And thank you all again very much for being with us today. And I wish you all a very good day. And thank you for the questions again.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.